Excellent. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep.
So real quickly before we uh, get into there, are there any questions or anything cool that came out from the breakout? Anybody want to add before I get started?
Justin, if you don't mind, I would love for you to just share that last point you talked about. I thought that was great.
So I was just talking about how it was nice that diversity, how it can, because since this is a Japanese company, how you can't have Japanese people working in an American facility, without that diversity and help from other cultures, and it would just bring in nice creative ideas and perspectives.
Excellent point, Justin. I appreciate that. That is definitely good. One of the key facts is when I started here was working hand in hand with Japanese, what we call them coordinators. So they hold similar positions as partners to the managers, senior managers, the president, general managers. So, and it's for that purpose to teach each other. We teach them American culture. They teach us the Japanese purpose for business. Excellent. Anything else before I get started again?
Yeah, Sean, Tim, just from that group, and I don't know if any of them will speak out, but it was good to hear just from a listening standpoint was an early understanding of diversity being so much more than just race and ethnicity, that it goes beyond it, and that they understood something I wouldn't have understood at their age. With my limited scope, and that was refreshing to hear from that group. And hopefully we got that from all the other groups as well, probably.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of a unique and kind of, for me, it's an exciting topic. As you think of business, a lot of times we think of assembly. We're going to assemble a part, we're going to push it out. But really understanding the leadership and the strategies that it takes to get to that point where we're at right now, leading the way in unit plants. It has to do a lot, even in West Virginia, because of our high diversity. Anybody else? Anybody want to share their definition of diversity?
Yeah, our group decided that diversity is checking the box to make sure everyone is there, but inclusion is making sure that the people are actually heard and that they aren't being excluded and they aren't just there to check the box, that they're there.
Yeah, great point, Cameron. Yes, it's almost like they're in conjunction, but they are separate. Um, it's almost like you can't have one without the other at times. Great point. Anybody else want to share their definition of inclusion?
Making sure, and I think I was going to go with Cameron, but I mentioned this. Make sure not only everyone's there and the box is checked, but also that everyone is getting the respect they deserve. Everyone's opinions are being taken the exact same, regardless of, race, gender, disability, etc.
Yes, excellent. All right. Anybody want to share what elements or categories they came up for diversity or inclusion, whichever one would you like to do first? Anybody? Tyler? Or go ahead, Cameron.
Okay, we decided that diversity was having a lot of people there and having differing people there, and that those were the primary categories.
Perfect, excellent. And inclusion?
We decided that inclusion was making sure that different people were heard and that people of different backgrounds weren't afraid to speak.
And Sean, I think you might be muted if you're talking.
Oh, sorry. Yep, I was muted. I appreciate that. I said we'll keep it with Cameron. does it add value for the business, and what or why do you think that is?
Yes, I think that diversity and inclusion add value because they have since people from different backgrounds are raised with different beliefs and viewpoints, they'll approach problems differently, and more solutions to a problem offers more options for a business.
Man, you've done this before. Great job, Cameron. Excellent. All right, well, we'll get started with it and we'll go over diversity and inclusion as we kind of see this in Toyota. All right, I will share my screen. Can you see my screen?
No, we
No,
cannot.
not yet.
Okay. I'm still learning here. There we go.
There we go.
That one button gets me every time. All right, great. So if we look at what they call a business definition, and I'm not saying that this is perfect by any means, there's so many different definitions out there, but a lot of the research I've done, becomes one of the definitions you see the most. It refers to the existence of variations of different characteristics in a group of people, such as our cognitive skills, personality traits, along with things that shape our identity. So a lot of you touched on the race, the gender, religious background, where you came from, your cultural background. But one thing it does also entail are a few different categories here. So I have done quite a bit of research as far as, in my schooling when it comes to leadership. And these are what I kind of came up with through my time in school and research. So you have your physical, or what some people call internal categories. Now, these are the traits and characteristics that you are born with. So if you think about it, these are the ones that you can't help. This is where you came from. You're a woman or a man. You're white, African American, Indian, whatever that ends up being. Those are what you're born with. So when we think of that, that's a piece of this as well. But another piece of it is your environment, or your external, as some have put it through here. This is your religion. You go to church, you don't go to church. Your church groups, like West Virginia is a location, your socioeconomic status, and your education. So all those are kind of what I heard in our breakout groups. But there's also what we call functional or organizational diversity. So as you're getting employed, you move to a different job, you have 14 years experience versus 2. What were you working on? Were you skilled labor or manual labor, things of that nature? So that's another piece of diversity. And then also we cannot forget about our worldview, or I put in here philosophical. So when we look at that, that has to do with your political affiliations, your moral values. And again, there's so much to this. This is just a few that I picked out. So there's so much in this. So if you'd like to take a look at that and do some research, there's actually some really neat aha moments I've had in there. And then your epistemology, which is the theory of knowledge, how you learn, and how you absorb what you learn. Any questions here? Anything surprising? All right, we'll move into inclusion. So Forbes magazine was one of the ones that I thought described inclusion the best. And again, this is just my opinion. Inclusion is a call to action within a workforce. That means actively involving every employee's ideas, knowledge, perspectives, approaches, and styles to maximize business success. And then I added, by valuing each other's uniqueness and need to belong. So we're all unique in one way, but as human beings, we also want and need that affinity to belong. So because of that, I put together kind of this representation that I found from San Diego State University when they did a study in the Journal of Management. So this kind of puts it in a simple view for me at least. Hopefully it does for you. So when we think about those two key elements, uniqueness and belonging, you kind of come up to these different factors. So exclusion obviously is you don't feel valued for your uniqueness and you don't feel part of a group. So when you look at, let's say, assimilation, you might feel valued as part of the group, but you don't feel that you can stand up and show your uniqueness. Differentiation, where you're valued very much for your contributions, but you'll never be an insider, or you don't feel as though you're an insider. So inclusion lies with that high uniqueness, high belonging, where you are treated as an insider and you're allowed and encouraged to retain your uniqueness. And I think everybody here had said that in some way, shape, or form. So I think you all did a great job in those breakout sections. So the last part of that was, does it add value? So currently nationally, and this is nationally, this isn't Toyota. So 78% of employees stated that they do not work in a diverse and inclusive environment. A lot of this data that you're going to be getting came from the Harvard Business, the Harvard Business Journal. So you can look a lot of this up as well. I encourage that. So that's saying that even though we are a diverse melting pot in the United States, still nationally, employees don't feel that. We feel we're very secluded and non-diverse and non-inclusive. So if you look at hiring top talent, and I know our group talked about top talent, if you look at 67%, approximately 67% of job seekers want a diverse and inclusive organization. Well, that kind of makes sense because they don't, 78% don't feel like they're getting it. So when you want to be hired, you want to try and get that type of organization. And then retention. So 82% of the companies and CEOs believe that if they're able to hire that top talent and they're able to retain them, that they're going to lead to higher levels of innovation. And that's what we're talking about when we say start our impossible. Do the things that nobody's done and do that in a diverse and unique atmosphere. So what does that say? Organizations, and this is approximate, you can look up different areas and times, but approximately 43% more profitable for organizations if they have a highly diverse, if they have a diverse and inclusive environment and people are feeling the effects of that. And you look off to the right, that's one of our, yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to jump in. I think we have about 2 minutes left, so just wanted to let you know.
We're almost done. Sorry. Okay, so if we move on to the next piece, this is our Steve Lewis, our General Manager for Diversity and Inclusion. He said Toyota's mission is to ensure all team members feel welcome, valued, respected, in an inclusive environment. We are comfortable bringing our whole selves to work and are able to feel accepted and foster connections. It activates our talent and passion of our peoples to do extraordinary things can happen. So if we look at diversity and inclusion, this has to do with innovation. And these are all the key competitive advantages that Toyota seeks out every day. We spoke to a lot of them, but we also look at safety, customer satisfaction with the quality, and our productivity to make us more profitable. And that's how we were able to get this hybrid transaxle, the first and only ones to be built in the United States. There we go. With that, I'll take any questions.
Awesome, Sean. Thanks so much. Interns, do we have any questions, final questions for either Sean or Tim?
So that employee statistic about not feeling that they're in a diverse, inclusive work environment, was that specifically for Toyota, or is that just like a general census among the population?
Yeah, general census across nationally in the U.S. across the team members polled and surveyed. So, this includes all the companies that people could work for.
All right.
I don't have this specific number for Toyota, but I wanted to put that in there nationally because it was something that I didn't realize as well. Well, if there's no other questions, I just want to thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to speak to you here today. And I appreciate all the great comments we got in our breakout sessions. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, right on time. Sean and Tim, thank you both so much for such a great presentation. I definitely learned a lot today, especially about some of the Toyota numbers and things I didn't already. So thank you so much. Interns, thanks so much for logging on. Today was our very last training module. So this week we'll continue with your final capstone presentations on Friday. And I'm going to be texting you later today a couple of things about your stipend checks and some things like that. So be on the lookout for that and make sure you respond to me in that so we can make sure and get it mailed to you in time. But if you need anything, please let me know. Otherwise, everyone have a great rest of your day and thank you so much.